When it comes to buying clothing, there's a bewildering amount of it around. But how do you know that it actually does what it says on the label? We've come to the Gill headquarters in Nottingham to find out how they test it to make sure it does work. So Nick, you're Mr. Gill of Gill Clothing fame. How did it all start?
A very long time ago now. I was a passionate dinghy sailor and really couldn't find the right clothing to keep me warm and dry. I believed that we probably could do better, and that's where I began. In a corner of my father's lace factory, I was able to begin to design and develop some clothing.
So what was it like way back then? What were you wearing?
Very uncomfortable clothing. I had an unlined, clammy, cold neoprene wetsuit and a PVC fisherman type smock that would literally stand up on its own in the corner of the room. Not very nice, but that's all it was.
So Nick, is it very different from those days?
It's very much more technical. In the early days it used to take about 2 weeks to develop a new product. Today it takes near 18 months. And we're going to show you some garments in our Design Development Centre, how we design, develop and perhaps more importantly test the garments. This is where it all begins in this room. The whole product development process begins with a brainstorm. We'll invite some top sailors, some retail customers and club sailors too, and we all sit around the table. I ask them to bring in their kit bag of their favourite gear, what they like, what they don't like. Everything gets analysed and torn to pieces, and we come up with literally with a plan of products we'd like to produce.
Did they ever come up with anything very unusual?
Well, they do, and a good example recently is of a rash vest where two of the sailors pulled out of their bag a rash vest with a cut down in the middle of the stomach area, and they said that this was used to wear over the top of a trapeze harness and buoyancy aid to tidy up all the ropes and loose ends. And they said the problem was it didn't last very long. They were having to buy a new rash vest every few weeks. So we came up with an idea of putting a reinforced patch around the whole area that it could be then put over the hook. And what we came up with is a commercial product today that's in the market and selling very well.
That's amazing. So what are these here, Nick?
Well, the very first process, having done a product brief, are some storyboards. The idea of the storyboards is to introduce colour, the sort of colours that they would like to consider being made. Also to give us a flavour for the materials. You'll see here we have stretch fabrics, heavy duty fabrics for wear on seats and knees, reflective colours for the hood, and a fleece fabric for the internal collar.
So once you've finalised the actual garment, what happens next?
Well, before we go into producing a sample, we actually want to establish that the materials and the components are going to work, that they're going to pass all the tests. We have a very detailed test room here, and that's what I'm going to show you next.